of the new health care plan, if that's included. I was just reading the Weekly Standard this weekend, and the author in that piece said that there's a possibility that some committee, which would be made up of the president and the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Kathleen Sebelius, might rule that it's that a federally organized health care plan, insurance plan, would actually pay for abortions.
Well, I just came from the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions markup on the so-called health care reform that is the one-sided, all-Democrat liberal bill, and they just voted down an amendment that would have sustained the Hyde Amendment. And they did it making it very clear that they're going to allow taxpayer financing of abortions. Now, we've never allowed that, but that's how left-wing they're going up here on Capitol Hill. It's really awful.
Do you think that's a deal breaker?
Yeah, there's no question about that. And look, we've had the Hyde Amendment, which has prevented the taxpayers from being socked for abortions and have their monies used for abortions since 1976. It's been accepted by almost everybody. And here we are in the Health Committee. By the way, I was the one who raised the amendment, and it lost 12-11. In other words, it was a bipartisan fight against it, but even so, the 12 liberal Democrats on the committee, and they're all liberal except for Casey from Pennsylvania who voted with us, it was 12-11, and that's what they intend to do. They want the taxpayers paying for all this stuff.
Well, I think it's going to be an issue, Senator. I think your side may win this ultimately. Let me ask you about the nominee for the Supreme Court, Sotomayor. She's been a supporter of the Puerto Rican Legal Defense Fund, which says that it's unconstitutional to deny a woman a taxpayer-supported abortion as part of a health care plan like Medicaid. Do you agree do you think that might be a problem for her?
Well, she's on the board of directors. It's not just a volunteer job. She was on there for years. As a matter of fact, she signed a document that I have in my files against the use of the death penalty and a whole bunch of other very liberal left-wing approaches that the Puerto Rican Legal Defense Fund was for. Now, you know, these are things that really cause a lot of us a lot of angst. I come at this wanting to support the president, wanting to support her, and but these things make it a little bit tough. The Ritchie case makes it very tough. And look, I heard Senator Durbin talk about how she was upholding the law as it is. That ain't true. In fact, her mentor, who wrote the dissent on what they did, said not only was that a case in first impression, but it should have been allowed to have, should have forced the lower court to, to look at it and get the real facts involved. And it was a very, very bad decision. What they did is they wrote it in a way thinking that looked like they were trying to make sure that nobody would ever look at it because they put very little into it, didn't talk about the facts. It was a pretty poor, shabby way of doing things, and even her mentors got very incensed about it because of the nature of first impression of that particular case.
Let's talk about guns. Is there a question in your mind about her view about whether we have an individual right to bear arms under the state law as well as under the federal law?
Well, she helped write the opinion in a case that really didn't have to get into that, but she then, in a footnote, just volunteers language that shouldn't have been volunteered, that the right to keep and bear arms is not a fundamental right under the Constitution. There's no reason why she had to do that, and of course she based it upon two cases that were, one was in the 2 centuries ago, and the other one was, I think, around in the 1930s. And those cases did not really dwell on that particular point. So, yeah, it's a matter of great concern. Look, she's a very bright woman. She has a great story. Her background is a terrific background. I like her personally, but I am concerned when judges get reversed because they do things that really are questionable. She's had 8 of 10 cases taken up by the Supreme Court reversed. And in the Ritchie case, I remember Senator Durbin saying it was a 5-4 decision. Yeah, it was in one sense, but all nine justices basically said that the case had to go back to get the real facts involved. And all 9 justices disagreed with what she did. And even though the case was 5-4, that was the 4 were the liberal justices on the court who basically, didn't never see discrimination against white firefighters or white workers under any circumstances.
Well, thank you very much, Senator Orrin Hatch of Utah, one of the top Republicans on the Senate committee looking into the nomination of Judge Sonia Sotomayor. Coming up.